Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul. Hope you're having an amazing day. I'm going to kick this video off discussing Nvidia. Have they delayed the RTX 40 series launch by up to a year? And then we're going to discuss some other very intriguing things regarding the RTX 40 series of cards, not least of which an absolutely ridiculously powerful GPU which features up to 48 gigabytes of memory. And we're going to discuss it right after this message from the video's sponsor. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Crypto.com. Crypto.com is a centralized exchange where you can buy and sell 250 plus cryptocurrencies with 0% fee crypto trading. They also offer a crypto Visa debit card, which allows up to 5% cashback on purchases, and other nice perks like having access to airport lounges, access to Netflix, Amazon Prime, Spotify, and more, as well as all of the buying and selling features where you can buy at true cost. Crypto.com also offers services like trading and staking to earn additional revenue on your investments. You can also grow your portfolio by receiving rewards up to 14.5% on your crypto assets. Join 50 million plus users buying and selling 250 plus cryptocurrencies using our referral link, crypto.com/app/redgamingtech, which you can also find linked in the video description below. So, as you probably noticed, I am actually back on camera. I'm pretty much over the whole COVID thing at the moment. I took just a couple of days off because, I don't know if you guys have ever had it, you, feel better, and then you don't feel better. Well, that's pretty much what happened with me. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna not move for a few days and just, recover. So, I'm somewhat normal. Well, my version of normal. But let's discuss the RTX 40 series of graphics cards. Specifically, we're going to focus on the release date here. Now, there's going to be another video that's going to pop up on the channel in the next couple of days as well, where I want to discuss more, should you upgrade to the next generation of GPUs and CPUs? However, I'm going to put out that content in a few days because at the moment I'm waiting for a couple of sources to discuss mostly RDNA free stuff, to be honest. Not only actually some specification info, but launch info and some stuff on the CPUs. So this video we're going to focus mostly on the RTX 40 series. Basically, there has been a rumor that's been swirling around from another YouTuber. I won't mention names and stuff because I don't really want to, call people out on any of that YouTube drama crap. If you know, you know. But basically, there's a rumor that RTX 40 series could be delayed by up to a year. And, I mean, many others have already created content around this, but I have to say, guys, I am ultra skeptical that this is the case. I've had multiple sources, obviously I can't state who's telling me what, but I've now had multiple sources who have essentially told me that RTX 40 is still on track. It was delayed, so there was the delay from September to October. I'm going to get more specifics on Bring Up in just a moment, but what I will add to all of this is that the only uncertainty seems to be certain specific models past the 4090. I've got some people telling me that the 4080, for sake of argument, is going to launch this year in Q4, he says, hitting the microphone. Professional YouTuber here, people. And then I've also got others telling me that no, the lower end, and I don't know how you'd call the 4070 lower end given the performance we're hearing for the thing, but it could be next year. I'm honestly unsure, but the 4090 anyway is definitely going to be this year. Personally, and this is a guess, this is not based upon what sources have told me because I'm getting so much conflicting information. I personally think that the 4090 and 80 will both launch this year. Probably even the 4070 as well. I could be wrong on that, but I'm almost 100% that the 4090 is not going to be delayed until next year. There's numerous reasons for this. One is the Bring Up information that I've been getting. I'll talk again about that in just a second. But also, just from a business perspective, Nvidia delaying this just makes absolutely no sense. Unless AMD gave them a little handshake, gave them a little hug in the corner and said, yeah, let's both delay our products. Why would Nvidia delay a card for several months longer than their competitors? It just makes absolutely no sense because Navi 31, let's even say, just for sake of this video, that RTX 40 is faster than RDNA 3 by even 20%. I'm not saying that that is true, but let's just hypothetically say that it was. Well, first of all, the product wouldn't be released, so no one would know that, so people are going to buy RDNA free anyway, unless they have a specific reason to stick with Nvidia, like, you know, Nvidia's proprietary software or whatever. And yeah, you know what, just across the board it doesn't make sense, not to mention the fact it would really piss off a lot of Nvidia's own partners, system integrators, so on and so on, but also I'm pretty positive that it would affect, well, you know, their stock price and other things too, because everyone expects the cards to launch. Now, the RTX 30 series definitely does have additional inventory. And obviously, Nvidia are doing their best at the moment to shift the RTX 30 inventory. We all know about that. I'm not going to cover it too much in this video. However, I just think at this stage, the RTX 40 launch just cannot be postponed. That's just my personal opinion. I was told that the first batch of AD102 is going to be hitting ASE packaging by basically late August. So technically speaking, with just the schedules that Nvidia have been, let's say, keeping to up until now, the cards should be on the shelves anyway, at least in theory, by end of September. However, again, I've been told that there is almost certainly a delay, just to give basically the supply chain a little bit of breathing room for inventory levels to go down for the RTX 30 series. I will also add to this that I believe AIBs have just been briefed. Now, as of the time I'm recording this, I don't fully know what the AIBs were told. However, I do think that now some of the plans for Nvidia's launch and specifications is starting to trickle out. And this brings us now to some very interesting rumours concerning the specifications of a couple of cards. So, Copity7 Kimmy has revealed the Beast, which is an AD102 based chip. You can see the tweet on screen yourself. Now, there are a couple of things to note. The first is that it's got 48 gigabytes of memory. And the second thing, of course, is the number of CUDA cores. So we are still not looking at the full implementation here of AD102. What is uncertain, at least right now, is what card this is. I've got some people telling me that it's Titan and others that are indicating that it is not Titan, it is some Quadro/compute-based product. Honestly, I'm unsure, but what is certain is that this card is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Now, you'll also notice the board power there is up to 800 watts. I'm told that this is probably just because it's a test board, and more likely, we're going to be seeing much lower figures, somewhere around 550, 600 watts. Now, you've got to remember, guys, that 800 watts... I know it's a fun meme and, you know, everyone's joking around and stuff with wattage, but it's a lot of power. Like, you have to actually be able to dissipate that heat. And, you know, there's technical limitations, basically, is what I'm trying to tell you. And that's obvious. There's a reason that if you're doing extreme overclocking, you know, you're pumping like, you know, several hundred watts into a card for the sake of argument with these custom models. They're not just doing it on the stock cooler. Now, obviously, there are things they can do. They can use certain materials. They can use great thermal paste. They can have like a thicker card. They can run the fans at higher speeds, but there's limits. So I think that it's more likely that my source is probably just saying that if this card does ever get released, the actual, you know, power consumption is going to be much lower, with the exception of overclocking. And this brings us to the RTX 4090, specifically some very interesting rumours that have been swirling on chip hell. I want to give credit, by the way, to WCCF Tech for this. They were the first ones to like post about it, so, you know, courtesy credit to them. I will of course link in the video description. But basically speaking, there are two variants of AD102's 4090 which are being considered to be launched. The first is the 450 watt model, and the second is a higher variant, which is around 600 watts. Now, again, this actually is quite interesting, because if you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you'll know that I've been saying that 450 watts is the figure that I was hearing, but there have been variants at least AIBs have had anyway, for around 550 watts. But that's if the power level is increased to 120%. Now, what the rumour seems to indicate here anyway, is that this is going to be denoted on like the box. I don't know what they're going to call it. I don't think Nvidia are going to be calling it the 600 watt variant. It's probably going to be called like, you know, ultra extreme or some, you know, something else to indicate that the figures are higher. But it's basically down to the AIB. Now, what's unclear is what's happening with the Founders Edition card. Will we get 2 variants? Will we be able to overclock it? And also, of course, the other thing is, what about the clock frequency? The rumor seems to indicate that the clock frequency is the same. And this goes back to a much earlier rumor that I was hearing, even before the 120% power limit thing, that I was told that there were boards, and this goes back to the test board things of 800 watts, and those were being tested, but Nvidia were considering letting AIBs just go absolutely crazy with the boards, but it was designed for for manufacturers who wanted to release, you know, like the Kingpin variants, the cards that were for professional overclockers, and they obviously had, like, you know, ridiculous, you know, VRM, you know, just everything on them. Power distribution on the board was just insane, and I can maybe imagine that that would be the case. I suspect, and I am not basing this on information that I've received, I'm just basing this on pure conjecture, but it makes sense. I think a lot of it is really going to depend on Navi 31. I think test boards are out. I think test boards are in the hands of a few select people. I base that on something I've been told by now 2 people. However, AMD are playing it really close to the chest. And I don't think even Nvidia at this stage actually fully knows the performance of Navi 31. I've actually got an exclusive coming for RDNA 3. I've been working on it for a while now, but I got sick, so stuff got delayed. So now I'm kind of mashing 2 videos into one. Yeah, you know the story. But I think Nvidia are trying to figure out basically what level of performance they need. And obviously the reality is that Nvidia, quite early on with the rumours of Navi 31, this goes back to what before, you know, I found out that it was only a single GCD. And back when we thought it was like 2 GCDs, Nvidia actually, to my understanding anyway, internally, were quite worried about the performance levels of Navi 31. Now, that's not to think that they were like, oh no, we are totally boned. I mean, it's Nvidia. I don't mean that as in like Nvidia can do no wrong. I mean, Nvidia are A, very confident, and B, they will, you know, they're going to do anything they can to be competitive. If they have to strap a nuclear accelerator to the card and then, like, you know, figure out wormhole technology, they will do it. You know, obviously I'm being absolutely ridiculous, but you guys get the point. They will do anything they can to keep the win. And they do have a lot of pride at Nvidia. And it's the same as AMD. I think that this is going to be a really interesting race. And what I would encourage you guys to do, when benchmarks start to leak for the cards, I would be very, 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 very careful on comparisons between the two, unless the settings are identical, and especially if we do not know how old drivers are. And I'm saying that because, for example, it's going to be very intriguing to see, for example, with Navi 33, how the lower amount of infinity cache and also only 8GB of frame buffer, that's the amount that's on the 33 based GPUs, is going to impact, say, the ray tracing performance versus raster performance versus the RX 6000 series, and how Navi 31 and the 4090 or whatever, again, are going to face off against one another with different ray tracing settings. Basically, there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff, and I suspect that, much like AMD and Intel on the CPU arena, there's going to be a shit ton, excuse the language, but just a lot of debate on how you need to test the cards. And you guys know the story as well. Like, it's going to be, well, how do we test the cards? Because if a game has like FSR2 and DLSS, do we test both as well as the native? I don't know. Like, let me know in the comments, what do you think? I think you have to. I think you have to test FSR2 on both cards, and obviously DLSS is an Nvidia only feature, and then you're going to have to test ray tracing as well, and you're also going to have to test across DirectX 11 games as well, of course, ideally some Vulkan titles. It's going to be really interesting, and I think the selection of games, the resolutions that are tested, and the settings is going to... you know what, bottom line, this is my opinion. This is not based upon... I do not have the silicon here, guys. I want to stress, I do not have the cards to test. But my gut feeling is that there's going to be a lot of controversy from reviewers on what settings are used, what resolution is used, whether ray tracing is on, what driver revisions, and I think AMD and Nvidia are both going to be releasing drivers left, right, and center to try and get the win. And it's going to be... basically what I'm trying to say is, I think Time Spy Extreme, for example, comparing the 4090 against the 3090 is quite interesting. However, I don't think we've seen anything yet. Anyway, I think this video has been rambled enough. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. You know what the story is. If you've enjoyed the video, leave a like on it. I'll see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.